Good evening, everyone, and on behalf of the Mumbai Press Club, let me welcome you to the Redink Awards tonight. Now hand over to someone less melodious, Gurveer Singh, Chairman of the Mumbai Press Club and the convener of the awards committee, Redink Awards, that is, of course. Gurveer, let's have you up on stage.
Friends, these awards, what it represents, what the award-winning journalists represent and their stories represent, is really the fruition of what our constitutional forefathers saw in the fundamental right of speech and freedom enshrined in Article 19(1)A, 19(1)B. And these are not specifically mentioned as freedom of the press, but we derive those freedoms from these fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution. But that is what is really at stake. That is what is being compromised. And that's where attacks are coming, and the space for free news media is shrinking by the day. Of course, our wily editors are finding the spaces between the cracks, are finding ways to play the guerrilla war and come out with their own stories in their own way. But definitely the space is narrowing, and we need each one of your support to see that it is done. Apart from all the legalese, to put it in a poetic way, a poet said, "Let 100 flowers bloom." That is what it's all about. That's what we are talking here, and that's what these awards represent. But if I state the man who said it, I might not reach home today. Thank you so much.
Tonight, they've decided to ask, is there a future for independent news media? I'm waiting to see how that one goes down.
What can be done to ensure that the media remains robust, vibrant, and therefore independent is really the question that needs to be asked. A lot of the young journalists I mentioned earlier were inquiring about that. They are stepping into the profession. Some of us have been around for decades. We know what we have been through. They want to know whether all that is worth it or not. So hopefully we'll get some answers from the three panelists here.
So my advice is that the media must also stand. I don't think we are living in a time when media really has to feel so concerned about its very existence. You are in a very powerful position. I would certainly feel that these few cases which are being very often registered, and as the speaker said, the houses were raided and things like that and all that. In a free society, in a democracy, it should not happen. It is easy to say that, well, the Constitution of India guarantees you the freedom of expression and freedom of the speech, which covers the freedom of media as well. And there is a Supreme Court ruling which says that the fundamental right is inalienable, cannot be taken away. This is the legal position, constitutional provision. But in the same Article 19, Clause 2, Clause B, it says that the state has a right to put certain conditions. And that is why you say, you have the freedom of speech and expression, but you cannot abuse somebody, you cannot threaten somebody, you cannot sort of ridicule somebody's religious faith and things like that. Some reasonable restrictions are provided for, but for that, the media is completely free in the country. If there are certain pressures from certain interested quarters, I expect that the media will stand up, and I expect that the media will remain united and raise its collective voice. We cannot compromise our freedom of expression, our freedom of speech, and the freedom of media. That's how I look at it.
Media today is no longer free, and media is no longer fearless. And the reason why media is no longer free and fearless is very simple. I'm not even talking about the fact of, cases and journalists being arrested and stuff like that. I think the fundamental problem, and this is something that goes at the heart of the matter, is the revenue that media gets. That revenue which allows media to stay independent, that revenue is under attack. And the fact of the matter is the media revenue tap is under the control of the government, number one. Number two is companies also get calls being told that why are you spending so much money on that particular vehicle? Move your money into another vehicle. So I think it's very important for us. We have to acknowledge that there is a problem, and only when we acknowledge that there is a problem can we do something about it. Obviously, we want media to be fierce and to be fearless, but it's going to be very difficult, and that's why we have today a lot of independent voices. And it's really important, I think, for us, not just the new journalists who are coming on board, but also for us old people. I've been around, I've been working for 42 years. It's important for us to understand that there are changes and we need to be able to take steps to secure the future of media.
So one of the first things you'll have to decide is whom do you want to work for. If you're going to work for committed owners, then you're not going to be independent. If you're going to be independent, you have to face the hardships. As long as the Supreme Court, that has now been taking up causes for freedom of press and right to free speech and expression, for a long time you will not find that the judiciary will bend down. Judiciary is much stronger than what it was in 1976 and 78. So I feel that as long as you people know where you want to work and whom you want to work for.
Now we're going to get on to the moment of celebration this evening, which is why we've all collected here tonight. First, we're going to look back at the year. So here is a curtain raiser, which I'm told has been produced brilliantly with very limited resources by Open Design. The Open Design guys wrote that line. So now, let's watch the curtain raiser.
मैं ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूँ मैं विधि द्वारा
survey data is as many as 4.9 million Indians died during COVID.
தயவு செஞ்சு எங்களுக்கு 50% இப்போ கொடுக்கலனாலும் 33% ஆவது இப்போதைக்கு இமீடியட்டாக நீங்கள்
देहात तक जमीन तक लोगों के घरों तक नहीं पहुंच पाती। हमें सोचना है।
पेरिस फ्रांस में हमने सौदा किया है, डील की है, वो तो सीक्रेट डील है, हम देश को नहीं बताएंगे।
India conducted 3 underground nuclear tests in the Pokhran region.
Journalist Gauri Lankesh has been shot dead at her home. Reports suggest that unidentified men shot her.
सर आचरेकर ने क्रिकेट खेलना सिखाया, तब एक लड़का सचिन से भी अच्छा क्रिकेट खेलता था।
For the Journalist of the Year, Om Gaur, National Editor of Redink Bhaskar.
तो मैं आप सबको बताना चाहता हूं कि मेरी कंपनी का एक ही थॉट है, सच को सच और गलत को गलत कहो। इसी एक वाक्य के साथ हम लोग आगे चल रहे हैं और आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
This is the Redink Award for Lifetime Achievement. Is TJS George as an editor and columnist.
Today, many moving fingers having grit are amputated. I'm a very lucky one. My fingers are still working my fingers are still in working condition, and I hope they will remain that way for some time more. Thank you all very much.
The high point of the evening in that sense, I would like for Justice Sri Krishna to add to the inspiring words tonight, sir.
People are always talking to you very pleasantly, very pleasingly, but you will not find a person who will speak the truth to you if it is bitter, nor will you find a person who is willing to listen to the bitter truth. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the job of a journalist, to speak the truth to the powers that be.
But this award means everything to me and the team at the Mojo Story. Because as a young, independent media startup, to be recognized for our boots on the ground reporting through 2020 and 21, at a time when many of the cash-rich legacy media houses did not put as many resources on the ground as our small team did. This gives us hope and confidence for the future. So we thank all of you